Hello, I'm Richard Vobes and I'm on another walk. This time I'm walking up Highdown Hill, close to Worthing in West Sussex, and I'm on the case of John Olliver, the Mad Miller, as he's often referred to in local legend. Up on Highdown Hill, somewhere, he had a windmill. He was in league with smugglers, and he was buried here in a most unusual way. And I'm determined to find all of those things. So let's see if we can, shall we? Right, I'm approaching John Olliver's tomb now, and the whole area has been sort of well kept and well presented since I was last here. Here it is. This is his tomb. It's said that he had this made 27 years before he actually died. Now, whether he thought he knew he was going to die or whether he was just peculiarly superstitious, I don't know. But his tomb is set here in his favourite place to look over Worthing. And if you look behind me here, you'll see why. It is a rather beautiful view down there on the South Downs and then that way to the sea. There is a board here which tells us a little bit about John Olliver's life story and the tale of John Olliver. It tells us that his coffin was under his bed and that he built his tomb in readiness. The legend also says that this rather strange and crazy miller decided to be buried upside down, for he feared that when the Judgment Day came, the world was going to go topsy-turvy, and by being buried upside down, I think head first, he, in heaven, would be the right way round. Another reason that our John Olliver was perhaps a little barking. It's also said that if you run 7 times around the grave, the ghost of John Olliver will come out of the earth and be there to haunt you. So much for his grave. Let's see if we can find his mill. I think we'll let John Olliver rest in peace and we'll weave through this small wood up to the very brow of the hill. Highdown Hill is 266 feet above sea level. It's not a particularly big hill. It overlooks Worthing, as I've mentioned before, and Ferring and Goring. And if I can find the right route, it is said also that his windmill, I don't know whether he was moving or changing the millstone, but for some reason one of the millstones broke free and rolled down the hill, and where it landed, the farm became known as Roundstone Hill. The mill, a great big round grinding stone. I've got to somehow weave through this lot. I'm sure there's a better path. Beautiful view, absolutely stunning view from up here. You may not be very high, but what you see down there towards the coast is fantastic. And this is how the story goes with John Olliver and the smugglers. We don't know if he was the leader of the smugglers or was just one of the gang, or just basically in league with them. But his windmill on the top of Highdown Hill was an essential communication for the smugglers, because up here he could see if there were any Coast Guard ships. He could see the patrols of the excise men on their horses going across. And he could warn the smugglers' ships who were out at sea by the different positions of the sails on his windmill. Clever, eh? Who would know if they were set at, I suppose, a cross, whether that meant the coast was clear, or if they were in an X formation, and that meant danger, excise men about. There is an Iron Age hill fort, an early Iron Age hill fort at the top here, as I'm just approaching now. We can see the earthworks here. It was approximately 600 BC that it was in existence, and it's very small scale. From here you can, well, over that way you'd be able to see, and I can't really show you, Sisbury Ring and even Chantonbury Ring, I would imagine. You've got the earthwork coming round here, small defensive little Iron Age hill fort. Whether that was a fort in the Thames in the sense of a fort, or really just somewhere to shelter in the bleak winds, or to place the horses and cattle, sheep, and just bring them in for safety. I'm just going to walk around the perimeter now, and you'll see what an advantage it would be to be up here. Such a huge view, and actually you do get a 360. It is right on the top of the hill. You don't get the 360 now. There's trees that have grown, and all those would have been cleared, of course. And in fact, you can't see it because it is so tiny, but you can go right across to the Seven Sisters, which is a series of cliffs. Pretty startling view. So coming out the other side, and I'm just coming up to the trig point. Yes, a trig point, of course, showing the highest point. And there's a few dips and lumps and bumps, and I was told that the windmill was sited on the west side of the hill, which is kind of where I am now, and there's supposed to be some form of evidence, and I'm not quite sure really what I'm looking for, but here we go. It's always good to reach the trig. When you've reached the trig, you feel you've done your ascent, although of course in this case it's not terribly high, but it's been a great walk. Now I'm going to leave this area and just come down a fraction, leaving that trig there, because there is a clump of brambles and things, and it is a bit, to me, a bit suspicious that maybe on a mound of some description perhaps the windmill was there. This is purely conjecture. I'm investigating on the hoof. I don't know for sure, so I'm just carrying on a little bit west just before I go to see what that situation is. Why do I think that? No particular reason. It is on the west. It's in a circular shape. It would certainly fit the idea of putting a windmill here. I mean, it could have been anywhere, but if there was anything, perhaps the brambles and stuff have overgrown around it. I'm just having a look to see if I can actually get in. If one can get in, and I fear I can't, not without stinging myself. Getting out might be tricky. Okay, I'm not sure. There doesn't seem to be any evidence in here, and this might just be a complete folly, a natural folly, but who knows. Anyway, if you've enjoyed my video, do subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get to see everything that I upload. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and of course leave a comment. That would be fantastic. All I've got to do now is find my way out. There must be an easier way. I think back down there. Goodbye.